Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and this is episode 41 of the Shooter Straight podcast. And obviously, we just wanted to go ahead and thank everyone for all the continued support we've been getting on the channel. With our reels and all on social media platforms, we've been growing. I think since the last episode, we've gained like 80 subscribers or something like that, some
Yeah,
crazy
80 or
amount.
70.
So hit the subscribe button down below. Join us on the journey to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to be there soon before you know it. But I think before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, we wanted to go ahead and announce some breaking news with the channel, and I'll let G go ahead and discuss that.
Yeah, we've decided to break the channel up into separate kind of variants. So, because we originally wanted to make this channel to talk about all sports, but we ran into the problem that you gain most of a fan base in one sport, and it's hard to mix them. So we just decided that this channel will remain and be more strictly football, as in soccer. And
Yeah.
we'll be splitting off channels to talk about NFL, American football, and splitting off talking about basketball, and splitting off talking about boxing. It's just
Yep.
we want to make it a little bit easier for people to digest our content instead of like being 3 to 4 hour episodes talking about everything and being kind of
Yeah.
difficult to be yanked around in every which way.
Yeah, and it's also very difficult to post, shorter content when you're getting you're catering to a soccer audience, and then all of a sudden you post an NFL video. Kind of ruins the flow of the channel. I think the algorithm isn't really a big fan of that. So I think keeping it more consistent and diversifying with multiple channels is the way forward. And obviously, in the description down below, if you're interested in other sports, you'll see all those channels there. You'll see Shooter Straight NFL, Shooter Straight NBA, Shooter Straight Boxing, and that includes MMA. That's all in there, and that's what we're going to be working towards. Obviously, this is kind of the beginning of that, so probably give us a little bit of time to work out the
To
kinks on
work it
that.
out.
But yeah, hit the subscribe button on not only this channel if you like football, continue watching the content, but then also go check out those other channels because we're going to be pretty much be doing the same thing we do on this channel, but for other sports. And a lot of people, like myself, at least, are and you as well, multi sports. That's what you kind of think, but that's just we still wanted to go ahead and diversify the channel like this. But before I ramble on too long, you kind of get the
Yeah,
concept of what we're trying to do here.
the idea, because there's some people that just prefer football and don't really care much about American sports, but
Yeah,
obviously me and Zach we kind of like everything. So
yeah,
for
yeah.
the people that like everything, that's why we have it all. If you want to follow everything, we have multiple channels that you can always subscribe to
Follow,
and hit
yeah.
notifications, and always stay in touch. But for the people who strictly like football, that's okay. We'll have this channel for those people.
And if you strictly like any of the other sports we're going to talk about, those channels will be there as well. So you're not going to be forced to see
Yeah,
NBA video on your YouTube if you like soccer. You're
yeah,
not going to get
basically.
that. It's going to be choose what you want to see, and then that's it. It's more catered for you and your desire. And I think that's
Yeah,
ultimately the ultimate goal. We're catering the content for you, the viewer.
absolutely.
But without further ado, I think we can go ahead and get into our football topics of this episode. I hope everyone likes our new background. The UCL Stadium. We've
We're getting up
upgraded.
in the world. We're getting
We've
up in the world.
upgraded. I think it's a beautiful background, and I think it's the perfect segue into talking about our first topic.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it.
So, Manchester United, they are back. As we all know, they're coming off of a loss against Arsenal in the Premier
That I
League.
predicted.
You did, hold my hands up. But they're back in the EFL Cup, and today they defeated Nottingham Forest 3-0 in the EFL Cup semifinals. And I'm going to go ahead and ask this to you, G. What is your initial reaction to this match of Manchester United getting the win?
I think it's just another impressive performance from the boys. I think United have been playing great. This almost not in this entire season, but definitely towards this midway point into the season, and it's not nothing surprising. It doesn't surprise me that they won 3-0. I mean, Marcus Rashford has been in the form of his life, but we talked about it so many times. Bruno has kind of found a little bit of that form he had his first Manchester United season when people were comparing him to Kevin De Bruyne. He's starting to wiggle some of that back, and it's impressive. It's just beyond impressive, and they have a chance to win a bit of silverware. Ten Hag's this would be, I believe, his first bit of silverware as United coach. So I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's a great start to his tenure at the club.
Yeah, and I mean, this would be the first silverware for Manchester United as a club since 2017. So it'd be
Jeez.
very long awaited silverware, even though it's just the EFL Cup. But I think for me, I think that this is expected. Manchester United for me, I was a little bit disappointed to see that they weren't able to get that win against Arsenal because I think they played fairly well. But this is what I expected from this team. I expect them to bounce back because they played a very strong match against a very, very good team in Arsenal. And you look at the rest of their form recently. I mean, they've been absolutely setting the league on fire. Marcus Rashford is looking like Cristiano Ronaldo out there right now. I mean, he's absolutely transformed himself in maybe his career now. I think that
It's
Manchester
just
United
that yeah, him finding his fitness.
they have taken care of the business they needed to take care of against Nottingham Forest. Let's not act like they're a superpower by any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. But to take care of business away from home like they did, you got to give them their credit. And I think ultimately, it's going to be relatively comfortable for them in that second leg, and they will move on to the final. And that's kind of the main question now: who are they going to play in the final? Is it going to be Newcastle? Is it going to be Southampton? I think we all expect it to be Newcastle, but that kind of remains to be seen. But this was a good United performance, but it's what you expected. There's not much to say. I think Wout Weghorst looks very good. Bruno Fernandez played well. Rashford played well. Anthony even did a couple things here and there. So not much to complain about if you're a United fan. I think you just take this result and you move forward and you try to win the silverware because I mean, like I said, 2017, that's a long time ago for a club like United to not be winning any trophies.
Absolutely. And I mean, from what it looks like, it's most likely going to be Newcastle. Newcastle is already 1-0 up in the first leg. And I mean, the form Newcastle have been, I mean, Newcastle is the darkest of the dark horses that we've seen probably since Leicester to be
Yeah.
doing as well as they have been doing in the league. They're currently top four, and we both predicted them to finish top four because
Yeah.
this form that they hit. So what would be, let's just say let's look at this like, hypothetically, if it is Newcastle, do you fancy this Manchester United team to take on Newcastle and win the EFL Cup?
I do. Honestly, I do. I fancy United to win the EFL Cup. Obviously, Newcastle are going to be one of their toughest tests in this competition. Let's not disrespect Newcastle because they have been absolutely phenomenal this season, led by Eddie Howe. I mean, they have no real weaknesses in their team right now. They're playing fantastic. Their defense is one of the best in not only England but in Europe right now. Nick Pope. I mean, I saw Newcastle defender today said that Nick Pope was the best goalkeeper in the world right now. I don't know if I agree with
Um,
that, but he is on fantastic
he's on
form,
great form.
and he's one of the catalysts. I mean, it's crazy to say a goalkeeper can be the catalyst of one of your side, but Nick Pope is definitely the catalyst of this Newcastle defense being as strong as it is because it's. I mean, it's good, but Nick Pope definitely saves them, when he needs to. But United are still the better team compared to this Newcastle side, and I just trust Eric Ten Hag to be able to get it done tactically. I think he's the better manager between him and Eddie Howe. He's got better quality players, and I think the additions Manchester United have made, such as the Casemiro, Rafa Varane, this is title winning pedigree. These guys, they win, they make finals, they win. And I think that's what you can kind of expect from Manchester United if this matchup does happen. And if it's Southampton, it's probably going to be even easier. But for me, no matter who they play, if it's Newcastle, if it's not, I think they win this match. They win it easily. Probably for me, it'd be like a 2-0 final. I just don't know if they can, if Newcastle will be able to, you know, score enough against
Hmm.
Manchester United to win this match.
I think it'll be a little bit closer match. I don't think it'll be easy per se. I think Manchester United do have the star power in this because I mean Newcastle are kind of those that team that are built up with very good players that we haven't necessarily well-known players, but they don't have a Marcus Rashford, they don't have a Casemiro, they don't have a Rafael Varane, they don't have these guys that have won everything to win in club football. But I think it's going to be one of those grind out matches. I agree with a lot of things you said, but the only thing where we would separate is I think it's probably going to be just a 1-0. I think it's a be very tight nip tuck type of game, and I think it's going to be Marcus Rashford. I mean, who else is
Who
gonna
else?
who else is gonna be for this Manchester United team? And I think he's gonna guide them to finally end this route of since 2017 of winning silverware.
Yeah. And what that'd be what 6 years. It's about time, and it would just be a very impressive beginning. And I put emphasis on beginning to this season for Manchester United because I mean they have the opportunity to win EFL Cup, potentially win FA Cup. win Europa League, and finish in the top 4 of the Premier League. I mean, that would be
That's a very successful
that
season.
would be a crazy good season for United, and they have the
Because
potential to
I
do
mean,
that.
at the
They're the
beginning, it didn't
only.
look like they're going to make top four. I
Oh no,
mean,
I
at
mean,
the early starts.
it didn't look like they were going to get any silverware at the beginning of the season, and now we're talking about them winning every piece of silverware that they're in. Potentially besides the Premier League.
Besides, yeah.
Yeah.
But that I think that covers most of the things we had to say about United. I mean, other
Yeah,
than giving them their
you seem
flowers and they're being very impressive, and
self-explanatory.
yeah, we're looking forward to watching that cup final, and hopefully it's Newcastle because I do like that those teams are very that I think that would be a very competitive game, but
And that would also be two teams that haven't won silverware in a long time.
in a
So
while, yeah.
that would be a true spectacle. I'm excited for it. We'll see when it does happen. You'll know on the channel. We'll probably more in-depth preview that matchup when it's actually confirmed and locked in. But for now, I don't think see much changing. So,
Yeah. Now that can help us roll into our next one from cup game to another cup game.
yeah.
Barcelona winning 1-0 in the Copa del Rey and advancing to the semifinals. And obviously, we know, I'm the Real Madrid stan, so I'll hand this one off to you being the more, pro Barca person here. What did you think of Barca's performance in this match?
I mean, they got the job done. That's what I'll say. To be honest, it wasn't the most convincing Barcelona performance, especially given the form that they've been in. You probably would have expected that game to be a more dominant win than it was. I mean, for Sociedad to have they got a red card relatively early on in that game. I thought that there was going to be a very comfortable win for Barcelona. However, it was a very tight game throughout, even after the red card, and it took a moment of brilliance from Ousmane Dembele to capitalize and get this win. I think Barcelona were quite wasteful. I think that they had more opportunities to put this game away and not make it anywhere near as close as 1-0, but they didn't. Gavi hit the crossbar. They had Ousmane Dembele. He should have had a couple of assists in that game. He should have had 1 goal, 2 assist performance, or maybe even 2 goals, 2 assists. That was how good he played. But he was only able to get the 1 goal. But arguably, I think you could say this was one of Ousmane Dembele's best performances in a Barcelona shirt since he's made that big money transfer. This was what we expected out of Ousmane Dembele when he made that move from Dortmund to Barcelona for, what was it, 111 million
Yeah,
euros or
about
something like that.
111, yeah. Right
Something
after
like
Neymar left, the Neymar replacement.
exactly. This is what you kind of expected to see, and maybe now this is what we will see from Ousmane Dembele for the rest of that. I think that's the huge talking point here. Barcelona, they got the win. It wasn't the most convincing, but they got the win. They did what they needed to do. They're going to need to be more clinical, better overall in the next match in the semifinals, regardless of who they're drawn against, whoever they play. But the main talking point for me that comes out of this match is Ousmane Dembele, and if he is finally reaching that potential we thought he might be reaching towards. And I think he is. Honestly, I think this might be the step in the right direction for Dembele, and potentially reviving his career around to what we expected. But I think that might be a conversation we have another time. And I'll go ahead and pass this one off to you and your thoughts on Barcelona's performance in this match and Barcelona as a whole.
I think this match was a bit lackluster. I mean, they were barely able to get out of this game by the skin of their teeth. Barca played well, but they weren't clinical at all. And obviously on the form they are, you would think they would be. And it did come down to a moment of brilliance from Ousmane Dembele. And as a Madrid fan, I've always liked Ousmane Dembele. I mean, I think people that kind of are now opening their eyes to, even you to a certain point earlier this
I knew you were
season
going to say
where
that.
you were already throwing off Dembele saying, look, you were showing me Twitter threads of, oh my God, like the Barca fans hate him. He's selfish. He's this, he's that. He's not a Barcelona player. He
Yeah.
played great last season. I mean, he led the team last season in assists. I don't know if that's a very selfish thing to do to lead your team in assists. Maybe I don't know ball, but I've always liked his game. And I think last season was his revival to like that's the guy that we remember at Dortmund that was lighting up the Bundesliga, one of the best young talents in the world. He that commanded that 111 million, and he's looking like he's finally living up to it because those first couple seasons he did look like a flop, and there was the reports that he was just not on time to training. He wasn't taking
It was
football
bad. Yeah.
seriously. It was horrible. I mean, the reports of how he left his Dortmund, I think his apartment in Dortmund was trashed, absolutely, in shambles. but he's finally, kind of grown up. He's only 25 years old. I mean,
Still very young.
when he had that move to Barca, he was only about 22,
Yeah.
21. He's a very young guy. So he's finally able to more mature, and I think that the team kind of looked at him now as somewhat as a leader, somewhat as a veteran, because I mean, this is a young team, and
Yeah.
still a young player, but he's been around for a while. I mean, it feels like to a certain point that Dembele, I thought when I looked, I thought he was 27. He's still 25. He
Yeah.
hasn't even hit his prime yet.
Hmm.
And I'm glad Barca, in a way, Barca did a good job in keeping him, because I thought he was going to go to Paris Saint-Germain. There was a lot of things
I
he was
thought
going to
they were
leave on
going
a
to sell him
free.
for sure. Yeah.
I thought he was gone, but they were able to keep him and then obviously get Lewandowski and somewhat revive the club, because after they missed the Champions League, I thought that was dead in the water. I thought this team was done. They just scrapped it. Might as well sell the damn club because of how much in debt they were. But they're starting to catch very good form. And, obviously this game doesn't really portray that big story, but this is a more of a Ousmane Dembele story of how he played
Yeah.
very, very well in this game. And it took a moment of brilliance from him to salvage this and push them into the next round.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an Ousmane Dembele story, and I think it's something that we have to kind of look more closely at going forward. Because if this is the Dembele we're going to get with the Lewandowski that we've had all season based on his form and the way this Barcelona defense has been playing along with Gavi and Pedri in the midfield, I mean, there's no reason for me to believe that this Barca team is going to fall off in the second half of the season. Obviously, they're not in the Champions League anymore, but there's I think that they could go on and easily win the Europa League, win La Liga, and go walk away here with a very good season. I'm not, I'm not, I'm
Those
not
are
saying that's
those are
going to happen, but
those
I'm
are big
saying that
what
they
ifs.
could. I'm saying that they could do it based on the form that I'm seeing, based on how these players are playing. I mean, if
Uh,
Dembele is going to play like this more consistently, and that defense continue to play the way that they're playing, and Gavi play the way he's playing, this Barcelona team is a true contender to win La Liga. It's not when is Real Madrid going to pick up on their form?
It
It's are they going to catch Barcelona?
it's a possibility. Yeah, and
It's not what you like to
but
hear,
that
but
is
it's a
the
possibility.
key word. The key word, and then you said the consistency. I mean, Dembele can have this type of game, and we saw what he did in the World Cup final. That was absolute Hall of Shame performance that he had. And that is unfortunately sometimes what he gives up. He's a great player, but that's something he's struggling with. A little bit of, that inconsistency bug to where, I mean, even in the first El Clasico that we beat Real Madrid, we beat Barcelona in the league. I don't know if people forgot that, but in that El Clasico, he played horrible. He played absolutely horrible. I mean, no one was fearing Dembele when we played him, but obviously sometimes he has master classes. So he has to find that, pretty medium place. He can have these great games, but you can't follow them up with these poor games where you're getting subbed off, at the 50th or 60th minute. He has to be one of those guys that you rely on, from whistle to whistle, from start of the
Yeah.
game to the end of the game.
Yeah, no, he definitely needs to be. I mean, at this age, he kind of needs to be that guy for Barcelona, the way that we would have expected. I mean, and
I mean,
like
when it looks like
these are
he's
the
like the second best player on that team, he has to.
these types of performances that I just saw today is what we need to see more so the rest of the season, and then I can say, okay, he's that guy for Barcelona. He's probably the second best player right now. Potentially third best player right now. I mean, overall, I'm not going to say that right now, but if he continues to play like this, I will say that, and that's what we need to see ultimately from Dembele, in my opinion, for him to be anywhere near worth that price tag. But also, if Barcelona are going to succeed the way I think that they might succeed, they're going to need Ousmane Dembele to be that guy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because obviously I have Madrid going into the semifinal, and who knows, the matchups aren't released yet. I think are they still draws, or they have
I
to draw
honestly,
for?
I
I
don't know too
I
much
forget
about
because I'm not a
how that
huge
works.
Copa del
Okay,
Rey fan, but
you would probably know more than I know. I don't
probably.
think
But I mean, Madrid
it.
don't never really prioritize the Copa del Rey, so I never really care for it. But
I mean,
all of a
it's
sudden, they said they prioritize it now, so we'll have to see. And hopefully, that's a matchup we get. Obviously, I want that matchup again, Barcelona versus Real Madrid. Hopefully, it's in the final
I would
again.
prefer it in
So
the final. Yeah,
preferably in the final. I'm sure there's gotta be some La Liga shithousery
they're gonna be some rigging. They're
that
rigging
can
that
make it
shit.
happen. But speaking of Barcelona, I think that wraps up what we had to think about them. But obviously, Barcelona is synonymous with the man himself, the greatest player to ever play for that club and in general. Lionel Messi is back in the news. He's back in the rumors, and it's looking like the renewal that he had planned with PSG has fallen apart. That we thought right after the World Cup, it looked like they were in good talks that he was going to renew and he's going to stay
Yeah.
at Paris. But now it's not looking like that. So I
Yeah.
wanted to
It's
get your thoughts
conflicting
on what's
reports.
going on.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing very conflicting reports about Lionel Messi right now. We're seeing reports that say, for like Fabrizio Romano said, he's still gonna re-sign with PSG, but then we're also seeing reports say that he's unhappy at PSG. He's unhappy with the way the fans are treating him, and he still wants to play in Europe, but he doesn't want to play for PSG as a result of these things. So there's very conflicting reports, and obviously Messi not having re-signed the contract yet. Every day that this conversation lingers, the question, I think, for me, gets a little bit bigger. The question mark
Hmm.
gets a little bit bigger because why isn't he re-signing that contract? It's on the table. Why isn't he not doing it? So I think for me personally, if the question is, should Messi leave PSG? In my opinion, he should leave PSG, and not because PSG is a bad club, not because of anything that has to do with PSG, but because of the opportunities that lie with other clubs. I think is the fruit is sweeter at a different club. And for me, I'll even go as far as to offer this particular club. Lionel Messi should join Manchester City. If the offer is there, if the
Oh,
contract is on the
God,
table,
Christ.
Lionel
No.
Messi should be joining
Please,
Manchester
no.
City. It's been talked about for God knows how long, ever since Pep joined Manchester City. This should be the move for Lionel Messi. For his legacy, it does many things. He will more than likely be able to win a Premier League. I mean, Arsenal are good, but I don't know if they're stopping Man City with Messi
Messi, Kevin De Bruyne, and Kevin Holland. No, not
or
Kevin
Erling
Holland.
Haaland.
Fucking Erling Haaland. I did a combination of the guys, but that's that wouldn't be fair. That'd be like the Monstars in real life.
It, it,
That's literally the dream team.
so besides the fact that he would probably, in my opinion, I mean, we said the same thing about when Haaland joined Man City, but in my opinion, they signed Messi there, winning the Premier
No,
League very, very easily.
that was something that like I wouldn't even be able. There's no delusion in my mind where I could say, yeah, I got.
Chelsea are gonna do it or something.
I'll say Real Madrid can beat that team. That's literally just not fair at a certain point. Just because I mean, we thought the same thing when he joined Paris, but City is different in a way of
They
just
got
of
Pep,
that.
bro. Pep is
They have
different.
one, they have Pep, and Pep plays a style of football that Messi flourished in,
Yeah,
and to have a target man in Holland, and to have another guy that's similar to him and Kevin De Bruyne
Kevin
that
De
they can link
Bruyne.
up perfectly.
Oh
It's
my
just
god, he wouldn't have to
it would
drop back as much. He'd be able to really, I think,
you
score more
wouldn't have
goals.
you wouldn't have to, and Messi's okay with dropping back just because he's perfect. He's made himself perfect to that guy that chooses when he wants to use his energy, and obviously he would make this team tick. He would make it perfect because he can still score perfectly, and he can obviously he's one of the greatest play builders of all time. And to be paired up with Kevin De Bruyne, who's also one of the greatest playmakers of all time, is just it would not be fair. So obviously I would not want that to happen just because it would be incredibly unfair and it would probably ruin football. If anybody here knows, about 2017, 2016 Golden State Warriors, this would be worse. This would be literally worse.
Obviously, I think from the perspective of every other European club, you don't want that to happen. But I'm saying that's exactly why Messi should be thinking, this is the move I need to take.
Take the easiest team.
You get a very good chance to win every trophy that you could win. I mean, he's going to pretty much. I mean, he could win every trophy in England, so that would
Basically.
he'd get to add that to his trophy cabinet. Whoop de doo. But then the Champions League. This is something that Manchester City and Messi both want. Man City want it. They've never had it. They brought in
Well,
Pep to
it's
do
even the
it.
same thing with Paris Saint Germain. I mean, they've never had it either. And
Yeah, yes, but I see, but you give Messi, Manchester City with Pep, they have that like come on, that's every combination. That's all you need. I mean, this squad that Manchester City have, and plus the transfer window, God knows who they're gonna bring in if they don't win the league this year. I think they're gonna go spend a lot of money. Um, Pep Guardiola, the greatest manager of all time. You add Messi into, we already know how well he does in this system, how well he would play under Pep Guardiola, and with guys like Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne. That would not only break football, he would be able to win every trophy he wants to win the Champions League again, win more Ballon d'Ors because he would be the best player on said team. It would also take away that narrative that he couldn't do it in the Premier
he
League. He
couldn't do it in the
couldn't
Premier
do it on
League.
a cold rainy night in Stoke. Yeah, well, he's
Cold
gonna do
rainy
it
night
if he
stuff.
does. If he does what I think he should do, he would do it. He would win the league. He would accomplish everything, and just like
What
after he
more
won,
is there to
no,
accomplish, man?
I
Jesus
agree.
Christ.
I agree. There's nothing more Messi needs to accomplish. But for those hater narratives, those people who are still clutching at the straws. Some people
That's
still
the
clutch at the
dying light. You
straws.
can't say no. Well, technically, if he goes and win, he's never won a title in Italy. Look at that.
That's
He
what they're gonna
didn't.
say now. That's how they're gonna.
That's
That's all they have
that's all he's
left.
gotta say. And he's never won a Euros. You ever think about that?
Oh
He's never
yeah.
won a Euros. He can't win one. That's something
But
he'll
yeah,
never have. But
for me
I get what you're
personally,
saying.
I think he should go to I think he should leave PSG and go to Man City. I think that's what I would like. To me, I just don't think PSG. I mean, look, PSG, their league. I mean, it's not the most entertaining. And to be fair, I want to watch Messi in these last dying years of his career
In the Premier League.
in
I
the
mean, it's the
Premier League.
Premier League.
That's come on. I mean, who doesn't want to see
It
that?
it would be fun to see Messi in the Premier League, especially at his age. I mean, that's like one of the last. That is one of the last dying things. Look, where Cristiano Ronaldo decided to go back to Manchester United at 35. That's unprecedented, and Messi
Not
would
Messi.
could do that.
Yeah.
But obviously, I would not want to see that. Is it the smartest move for Messi? Absolutely. I mean, that's like a guaranteed trophy. It's like no brainer. You go there, you're gonna win things. You're gonna win a lot of things.
Kind of like
But
PSG, but without the Champions
similar
League.
to PSG, but the problem with PSG is that they really only play for the Champions League. Man City have that luxury of they can win the FA Cup, they can win the league, and they can compete in the Champions League.
Messi needs the EFL Cup to cement his legacy.
And the EFL Cup, like the cups in England are obviously highly more regarded than stuff won in Paris because
Oh
really
yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain players only care about winning the Champions League. I mean, that's all they really have to do. And when things don't go right, it's like the season's already a bust. It's a loss. So if I were Messi, I would go to Manchester City, but it also wouldn't be bad to stay at Paris Saint-Germain. But as a football fan, the one I'd personally want to see the most is I'd want to see him return to Barcelona. I would like to see him come back to the La Liga Santander, because it's always been his home. I think it's too synonymous with football. You think of Messi, you think of Barcelona, you think of Argentina. That's how it works. And I miss beating him in El Clasico. I miss having those chances over Madrid. It's always been that rivalry. That's because you've always asked me that Barcelona is our biggest rivals. I don't think anybody's our rivals, but if anybody's going to be our rival, it's that guy. It's Lionel Messi. That's the guy who's always been a club's big rival and our biggest rival. And I like to see more matchups like that. I mean, it's the welcoming that he would get back in Spain would be unprecedented.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I think they'd have to shut down the country. I mean, Catalonia would have to literally have its own separate holiday just for the return of Messi.
Yeah.
And I saw something that that took a bit out of me. That was that if Messi was still on Barcelona, how would the welcome back from the World Cup be? Lining up every trophy he had with with the World Cup. That's something sadly we missed out on, but I'd still like to see him return to Barcelona. I think that's always been his home, and I think that deep down that's kind of what he wants. I mean, he never wanted to leave.
I think he does want that as well. I think he wants that as well.
Yeah, he didn't want to leave. It just came out to Barcelona's shitty fucking finances, but that's what I'd like to see.
I think, to be honest, part of the reason why we're getting this conflicting report between, he's going to stay at Paris or, he's going to leave Paris, and the reason why we don't have no definitive, and also the reason why he's not signing the contract yet, is I think he's trying to leave that door open. There's no rush. That contract for either club is always going to be there on the table. PSG are going to always want to re-sign Messi. They're not going to pull that contract offer away.
No.
So, but I think Messi is leaving the door open for that Barcelona return if they can figure out the finances and the things of that nature. He doesn't want to commit himself to Paris and then find out, we could have signed you back. We figured it out. Boom, we sold some more Spotify rights, and boom, now we got you.
We sold our rights for another 20 years. We can get you back now.
Yeah, but I think he's leaving the door open.
They would have to bid for him, correct? Like, he's not on a free.
No, it'd be a free. I think it'd be a free transfer, but they'd have to figure out the wages. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, shit, Messi take like free wages, man. Just play for free. Fuck it.
Yeah, I remember that they wanted him to do that originally, but
they couldn't. Yeah, I think there's a.
But I think now they could, though, technically.
I don't fuck if I know, but
He's
that's something.
Anyway.
Me personally, that's what I would like to see. And I think that says a lot coming from a Madrid fan. Obviously, that'd be adding a horrible, wrench to our really are league chances. But I like competition. I like seeing, and El Clasico is better when you have one of those guys. I mean, we can't have Cristiano, so might as well have Messi in it.
I mean, I think when I spoke about him going to the Premier League is that how in a way it would be very cool to see him end his career in the Premier League, or maybe not even end his career, but play in the Premier League through it
Play,
in
yeah,
his
one
career.
time, yeah.
But if he goes back to Barcelona, that's like the most poetic thing that he could do in his career is go back to the Camp Nou, being able to play in that Barcelona shirt. Although I don't think he would, win a Champions League. I don't think maybe he'd win the La
That
Liga.
that team would be pretty good. I mean, Messi, Lewandowski, Dembele,
I
Gavi,
think they would
Pedri.
still
That'd
need
be a
some.
pretty good team.
I think that probably
Do,
they
do,
might need a signing or two.
yeah, possibly. But also, I do like how it would kind of make the Champions League hopefully a little bit more competitive. Because,
More
like,
competitive,
unfortunately,
yeah.
this year it doesn't. It's not as it was like back in 2017 or
Honestly,
2018, where
we'll
there's a lot
talk
of
about
teams that could
that.
have won
Yeah,
it.
I think this is completely. But we'll get on to the next topic here. But we're gonna drop our Champions League video probably next week, something like
Yeah,
that.
possibly.
So we'll get into kind of probably that exact discussion about the Champions League and the maybe the somewhat lack of quality in it this year. Crazy to say,
Unfortunately.
but I think while there is conflicting reports about Lionel Messi's future, there is one definitive thing that we do know about his future is that he will be staying in Europe and trying to break Cristiano Ronaldo's record in Champions League goals. It has just been reported today that Messi, I guess his camp is saying that Messi wants to stay in Europe to break Ronaldo's Champions League goal record, and then he will be happy to leave or go to MLS, Saudi Arabia, wherever he wants to
Saudi
go.
Arabia.
But that is reportedly Lionel Messi's main goal at the moment. Obviously, coming off of a World Cup victory, I mean, he probably needs something to get him motivated again. So I'll go ahead and ask you: do you think he can accomplish this? Will he accomplish this? What are your thoughts?
Does this man have any respect? Is there any sanity left in this man? Ronaldo doesn't have very much left. Now you want to take this from him, but let alone that, I don't know if I truly, from the character Messi is, I don't believe that's really what he wants. Like his team could say that, the people around him could say that that's what he wants, but I think as a player he is, he'd never seemed like that guy to want to. We've seen him give penalties up. We've seen him not care about who takes penalties. He never seemed like like an Mbappe or Cristiano or guys who always demanded to take penalties. So I don't think that's a bit uncharacteristic for him to want to go out to. Oh, I just want to beat Ronaldo and be gone. I think he's really content to just do whatever makes him happy. What he likes to do, but he could just break it for the shits and giggles of it. Like he just break it without really wanting to try because that's just what he does. He scores goals for fun, and I think it'll be really close. It really depends how what goes on if he goes to Manchester City, if he stays at Paris. But I don't really see him breaking it. Other because if he stays at Paris, he's not the designated penalty kick taker. It's mostly Mbappe and Neymar who take it. And if it stays like that, I don't see him breaking it. But it's like a bit of a fodder thing. It's who it doesn't really matter in a sense, But I don't see him breaking it if he stays at Paris.
Quite interesting of a take. Yeah, to be fair, I disagree. I think Lionel Messi. Look, I agree with what you said about potentially his goal not necessarily being this, and that his camp might be overblowing that. Because look, Messi, his character doesn't really seem like the guy to
We
specifically.
we saw him literally give Luis Suarez a golden boot in La Liga, where he just gave him all the penalties and he just said, "I'm going to help you win a golden boot." This is the guy that we've known. So that's just kind
Yeah.
of like what I would assume.
So I don't really think that like he's not going like I don't think he's specifically saying I don't want to play in Europe, but I'm going to and put myself through it just so I can break this record. He's definitely not looking at it like that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think he knows deep down. I mean, he has expressed his desires to play at the in the Copa America 2024, and also now he has his eyes on World Cup 2026 reportedly.
Oh God.
So realistically, I mean, he's gonna have to be playing at the highest level for at least 1 to 3 more years. I think he knows he can play at the highest level for 1 to 3 more years, and his goal is to continue to play on as World Cup champion and try to win more titles. I don't think it has anything to do with this goal record per se, but since that's the rumor going around and that's the report, the question that's being asked: will Messi break this World Cup? Not World Cup. Will Messi break this Champions League record that Cristiano Ronaldo holds? I think he will. He is only 12 goals from breaking the record, 11 goals from tying the record. He's at 129. Ronaldo's at 140. And, you know, I think he's going to stay in Europe for at least 2 more seasons. So they got the rest of this season and then 2 more after that. I don't think there's any reason for me to believe he can't get 12 goals in the Champions League in 2.5 seasons. I mean, obviously, he might not get any more this season because they might lose to Bayern Munich in the Champions League this season. Okay, that may happen, but
Yeah,
there's still
it's
2
dependent
seasons
how far
left.
they go in it.
Like it can come down to a lot of things, but I think even if he stays at PSG, he can still break this record because I mean, look, that's what 6 goals a campaign, and normally PSG gets some fodder teams. Like this time they had Maccabi Tel Aviv or something. It was
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
like
Yeah,
like
where Mbappe scored what, like 5 goals or
that's what
something?
I'm saying.
Yes.
You can get a little bit lucky and kind of stat pad. Like all things considered, I just think Messi will find a way to get 12 goals in the rest of his UCL career. If he was going to leave the Champions League or leave Europe this season, I would say of course not. But because I think he's going to play in Europe for at least two to three more seasons, he will break this record just because the longevity. He's going to play. He's going to be in a high scoring team. Even if he leaves PSG, he's going to be at Man City or Barcelona. Those teams are going to score goals. They're going to get far in the competition, probably, unless maybe Barcelona. So because of all of these things, he probably will break the record. But I don't think it. I mean, I don't think it takes away anything from Messi or Ronaldo. I mean, doesn't really change anything for me. But
Yeah,
it's more.
it's
It's
just
more
one of the
just.
it's one
It's
of
more
those
just who
things
owns
that
the record. Oh, cool, you
yeah.
own the record. But it doesn't. Messi doesn't need this record. Ronaldo probably wants to keep it more than Messi even needs it. So we'll.
Yeah, that's probably the consensus here, but I think that wraps up our little messy talk there, and we could easily swing into our next topic, talking
The,
about
the man who helped
old.
Messi win the World Cup.
Not that guy. Chelsea are back in conversations to sign Enzo Fernandez, where it looked like it was dead in the water. It looks like they
It
weren't
did.
going to get him. Now there's some reports that saying that it's not completely dead.
Yeah. I mean, look, six days left as of recording in the January transfer window, and Chelsea. Just when we thought they were done, Todd Bowley, surely you can't do this one. He's come back. He's
I'm
revived from the
I'm here to
dead.
tell this is not happening. I'm here to break the news to everybody that's listening. This is not happening.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the question. The question
Oh
is should they
God.
do it? The answer to that question is that Chelsea should sign Enzo Fernandez. First of all, they cannot do this multi-year, super long contract strategy to save money any longer if they don't do it right now. So that's also one part that you take into account. But for me personally, on the pitch, tactically, that's the reasons why you make this move. You spend the 120 million that after taxes is reportedly 160 million. You spend that money
Oh
on
my
Enzo
God.
Fernandez because of what he brings to the side. Chelsea have lacked in their midfield for a long time, in my opinion. They have not really signed a quality midfielder. Probably, I mean, you what? Maybe
Since
Jorginho.
N'Golo Conte.
I mean,
I
that's
mean, like
world class. Yeah,
world class. Like yeah, Jorginho, maybe even Kovacic.
Kovacic
Like
maybe.
those are like decent guys. I think this signing would be different. This signing would probably be looked
Exactly.
at as an N'Golo Conte type signing.
And the midfield position is something that Chelsea neglects. If you look at Chelsea's transfer history, especially look at recently, defenders, so
Oh,
many
recently,
defenders, so
so many
many
defenders,
forwards,
so many
even
wingers.
goalkeepers, but
Yeah,
no
it's
midfielders.
too bad
This club is
goalkeepers.
allergic from signing central midfielders, and that is exactly what we need right now. Enzo Fernandez, we sign him right now. He's the starter for the next game. That's how vital he is and how necessary he is. He would come in, get into the training ground. He's an immediate starter. So this is an immediate impact player, a guy who has transformed Benfica. I've seen Benfica play. Enzo
You
Fernandez
put
is the catalyst of Benfica. Not only in the league, because look, people can say, "Oh, it's the Portuguese league." Even though they did produce Bruno Fernandes, they produced so many quality players.
that Benfica produced so many good
People
players.
still slander the league and say that they can't produce players. Oh, Darwin Nunes came from there. Blah blah blah. Benfica produced quality players, and you want to look at Enzo Fernandez. Look at the World Cup with that Argentina team winning the World Cup. what he was able to do. But then also before this World Cup in the Champions League group stages, Enzo Fernandez absolutely ran the show for Benfica. You could go on YouTube, type in Enzo Fernandez in the Champions League. You are going to see a masterclass because that's exactly what he put on. Chelsea needs to make the signing. They have to find a way to get it done. I don't think they will. That's the second part to the question. I don't think they will make the signing, but they should. But I don't think they will.
Your tone has changed a little bit. I mean, before you were like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to get Enzo Fernandez for 120 million." Now after tax, you're looking at 160
Yeah,
if it's
but
done.
also I don't think because we're never going to be able to spend this type of money again.
Yeah,
Like
because
you
you
can't you
got
can't just
Todd Bowley's a slime scum that's
but
decided to milk this cow until it
exactly. But
dies.
Todd Bowley cannot find more loopholes. There ain't no way. There ain't no
There
more
ain't none.
loopholes.
They're shutting it down.
They're
But
shutting all the loopholes down.
I get what you're saying. I mean, yeah, I definitely agree
If
that.
you're
I
gonna
mean,
spend the money, you might as well
if you
spend it
have
now.
the opportunity to sign Enzo Fernandez, if you're any club, I mean, if you're fucking Tottenham, if you're United, you try and sign him because of how good he is, what he offers you, especially for the future, because he's a very young. I think he's only 23 years old. I mean, this is a guy that's very young.
21, 22.
I think, yeah, 20, 21, 22, around there. He's still very, very young. And, you know, it's one of those moves that you want to get down. It's a statement signing. It shows, this would be probably the biggest signing that in the
Oh,
Todd Bowley era
I
of
would say
so far.
so because of that pedigree, proven pedigree,
Yeah,
like a proven signing.
because I think they signed in Cuckoo before Todd Bowley got there, I believe.
What
I think so, didn't they?
I don't think so. But is people don't even really think about that signing because it hasn't happened
It
yet.
hasn't, it's not done yet, but this would be the biggest money signing that would be, put down, but it's definitely a hard swing. I don't, like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. I would be extremely shocked if it does. But, you know, it's if it's on the table, if it's a real possibility, yeah, you get it done because Enzo Fernandez is going to do nothing but improve your team. I mean, it's better than what you have now. I mean, there's no getting worse. It can't possibly get worse. So, I mean, I if it's on the table, you do it.
But like we both kind of said, I don't think we're gonna pull the trigger on it. Like the difference, like we're already trying to spend the 100 million on them, but the difference seems to be that 20 million. Like they want to pay the release. They want us to pay the release clause of 120 million, and then because you paid the release clause all at once and things like that, it ends up being 160 after taxes. If Chelsea got it their way, it would probably only be around 120 in total for
In
everything.
total with taxes
So that
alone.
there's a quite big difference in valuation there. And the thing is, I find it quite interesting because Benfica they literally also they've said it themselves. They want to sell him in the summer, and they know that they won't get as much money in the summer. They've admitted it. They've said like
That's
this is
weird.
if we sell Enzo right now, this is the most money we'll get. If we wait till the summer, we won't get as much. They've admitted that, and they're still
Yeah,
reluctant.
it is weird because I mean the profit margins is in
They're
absolute
probably
lunacy.
gonna
You're
lose out on
making a
40 million. I
you're
mean,
yeah, you're making almost near $100 million off this guy. I mean, from what you bought him for, and a club like that, it's like you take what you're
take
given. I
that
mean,
money. Yeah. You
you
take that
take the
money.
money, but
Benfica, come on, Benfica, bro. Like
Benfica,
come
I
on,
mean, they're
bro.
not in the greatest situation. I think they're having their own type of issues off the pitch.
They're getting checked out for match fixing, bro. They need the
Match
money.
they look you like just get the money. Maybe you could fix a couple of other matches.
They can call a lawyer.
More,
They need to
more
call Saul.
better call Saul. I mean, I know a guy you can call. I got his number, but you know, I think that wraps up what we had to say there. And not to like want to cut this off a little earlier. I think we ran a bit longer than we like to. So I think I would like to wrap it up here. I think we touched on more of the more important topics that we wanted to hit today. Not very much going on at the moment. Premier League has not picked up yet, but
Yeah.
I think we had a good little conversation about everything that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, and I think it just my final points here that I wanted to say. I think how we are setting up this particular episode, I think we probably want to call it. This is kind of how it's more going to be going forward with this channel. More short, more concise,
Yeah, trying
more
to
to the
keep it
point.
under an hour, basically. the sweet spot we're trying to find is about 35 to 40 minutes. You know, we want to make it more digestible content because it's
for
hard
these
to
episodes because
sit through like a 2-hour episode.
and we can still this is something we're going to keep doing because when you have a bunch of topics like this saved up, it's good. You talk about them all in one sitting on a this type of episode. You post it, y'all can take it in and see what we're debating about, what we think. But then also, on a random I don't know, Thursday, if there's a big match, we can just make a individual video, post it as a clip about that match. So I think one thing is it's just going to be more straightforward content, going forward. It's not going to be more random thrown at it. It's going to be more concise, straightforward
Hmm.
content. Obviously about football on this channel, and we'll have other
Eventually,
sports.
we will, have the other ones going and flowing, and we'll have all the links to that ones for those people that do like to stay in touch with every multiple sports, not just football. Well, we're here to cater to those people. We want to make it easier, more digestible, not to force nobody to sit through 2 to 3 hour
Yeah,
episodes and have to like pick, what spots they want to listen to. And we just want to do it to make it easier.
yeah, yeah. I think that my final thing, all things considered, hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned because we got a lot of new, fresh content coming soon, fresh ideas, fresh concepts, so many things like that. Like for example, today we talked about and gave our reaction to Barcelona winning 1-0 in the Copa del Rey quarterfinals. Well, tomorrow Real Madrid playing the Copa del Rey quarterfinals. So we, depending on how that match goes, we may upload this video as well. But then record a video talking about Real Madrid and whether they win or lose. How we don't know how that's going to go, so it kind of depends. But for example, that type of thing, more one-off videos. If the topic cannot be saved, if it's a, we gotta get it out. We want to get our thoughts about it. We can act more quickly because of how we're gonna do it from here on in. So before I ramble on about our future endeavors and our content creation strategy here, we can go ahead and wrap this one up and keep it under our goal
Try and keep
time
it under an
margin here.
hour. Try and keep it
Yeah,
under an hour for right now. We're working on it.
yeah. It's only gonna get better from here. For anyone who's an OG, y'all know, bro. Like y'all gonna see the difference. Y'all gonna be like, oh, well, they trying, they trying, they're
No, look,
trying
look,
here.
we're trying to switch things up. We're making things different.
But I think without further ado, we
I think
hope
that wraps
y'all,
it up for us.
yeah, we hope y'all appreciated this episode. We hope y'all we appreciate y'all for
we
the
hope
support.
we hope you appreciate.
We appreciate the support we've been getting on this channel and all of our reels, all of our content, and we're going to continue to make more content. So obviously, hit the subscribe button, check the description box down below, and subscribe to the other channels. We're going to be running those up. Be one of the first OG subscribers on those channels.
The
And I think
trifecta of channels.
and I think without further ado, I'm your co-host Zach,
Merco's G.
and this was episode 41. I don't know when the next episode is going to come, but it'll be coming out very soon. Episode 42. Peace.